is 12 o'clock. Here is the midday news. First, the top stories. Police rescue Chinese abducted in Ogeriatis of Ogun State. APC leaders suspend proposal of 2019 automatic ticket for Buhari. Buhari to appoint more ministers reconstitutes federal roads. Prisons controller worried over personal borrowing above salaries. In foreign, UN worried over Cameroonians fleeing into Nigeria. Iran wants its ballistic missiles within the range of US forces in Middle East. Good afternoon, I am Chenya Ibong, bringing you the news in details shortly. Now the news in detail. Police in Ogun State have rescued a Chinese who was kidnapped on Monday by gunmen at the Ogere axis of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. The expatriate, identified as Li Xianquang, was abducted by gunmen numbering 6 on his way to Abeokuta from Kogi State. Spokesman of the Ogun State Police Command, Abimbola Oyeyemi, says immediately the case was reported, the State Police Commissioner Ahmed Iliazu ordered the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad to rescue the victim unhurt. Oyeyemi explains that the officers later located the hideout of the kidnappers, who on sighting them engaged them in gun battle. According to the police image maker, at the end of the fight, one of the suspects was arrested and is helping the police in their investigation, while others escaped with gunshot injuries. He says the police commissioner has appealed to members of the public, especially the health workers, to report anybody with bullet injuries. Ogun State government says it has approved 12 independent power providers (IPPs) to generate 336 megawatts of electricity within the next 18 months. The project, according to the governor's special advisor on energy, Taiwo Fagbemi, will reduce power outage across the state's 3 senatorial districts. Fagbemi, who made this known to newsmen in Abeokuta, explains that the independent power providers had completed power purchase agreements, waste concession, and memorandum of understanding, which were vetted by the State Justice Ministry. He says that the proposed power plants will be fired by natural gas, solar, waste of energy, hydro, and Jolro. National Executive Council of APC has suspended a proposal seeking the adoption of President Muhammadu Buhari as the party's consensus presidential candidate for the 2019 polls. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, made this known while answering questions from newsmen on the outcome of the meeting of the council presided over by Buhari at the presidential villa in Abuja. Dogara recalls that a motion on automatic 29 ticket for Buhari was raised at the meeting, but it was rejected on the ground that it's not on the agenda of the meeting. The House of Representatives Speaker, who explains that the meeting was not convened to discuss the 2019 polls, however says that a motion for a vote of confidence on Buhari was passed by participants. Some of the APC state governors who spoke at the end of the meeting, however, say they will back Buhari if he decides to seek re-election in 2019. The governors include those of Nasarawa, Plateau, Kebbi, and Imo states. President Muhammadu Buhari says he will appoint more ministers into his cabinet to inject fresh ideas into the Federal Executive Council. Buhari, addressing the opening session of APC National Executive Council in Abuja, describes his cabinet, which now has 36 ministers, as compressed. The president explains that he has been operating a trimmed cabinet to conserve funds. The proposed expansion of the cabinet, Buhari explains, will bring in more APC supporters into governance, while promising the reconstitution of the boards of federal parastatals and agencies very soon. He regrets the delay in reconstituting the boards, which he promised in October 2015. Buhari told APC leaders he issued an instruction for the boards to be reconstituted since last year, but blames the delay on the committees set up trying to ensure balance in appointments. The meeting was attended by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, the Senate President, the House of Representatives Speaker, 21 state governors, APC National Assembly members, and other party leaders, including Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, Chief Bisi Akande, and Senator Ken Nnamani. Nigerian Prisons Service has expressed concern over most of its personnel taking loans that the salaries cannot service. The prison's Comptroller General Ahmed Jafaru, who raises the concern, says some of the officers went home with 1,000 naira after deduction of loan from their salaries. Jafaru, speaking on the issue at the annual general meeting of the Service Microfinance Bank in Abuja, explains that banks have been complaining that money paid into the accounts of most of the prison officers cannot service their loans. The habit, according to the Prison Comptroller General, is causing financial embarrassment to the service. Troops who participated in the just concluded special military exercise, Operation Crocodile Smile in the Niger Delta region, are to be immediately deployed to the Lake Chad Islands in the northeast region. They are to be deployed to rid the Lake Chad region of the remnants of Boko Haram fighters who are now using the area as the major base to launch fresh attacks in the northeast region. Army Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai issues the redeployment order at the end of the Operation Crocodile Smile Igruta in the Ikwere local government area of Rivers State. He explains that their redeployment will complement the operation by other security forces, including 3 multinational joint task force in Lake Chad Basin. A male nurse has been abducted in Dadinkowa, Gombe State. The State Police Commissioner, Shino Olukolu, told newsmen that the nurse was abducted at 3:30 a.m. on Tuesday. Olukolu says the State Police Command's Intelligence Bureau and Department of Security Service are combing the bush neat. He was abducted to effect his rescue from the kidnappers. Meanwhile, the daughter of the nurse told newsmen that the kidnappers were in touch with the family and are demanding a 10 million naira ransom. You're still listening to the Midday News on Rock City 101.9 FM. Up next, we bring you foreign, business and sports news. Please do stay with us. Now in foreign, the UN refugee body says at least 5,000 people have fled Anglophone Cameroon, where there have been a series of anti-government protests into neighboring Nigeria. UNHCR says other people may be trapped in forests on the Cameroonian side as they attempt to cross the border. It says it's working with the Nigerian authorities on a contingency plan to provide assistance for 40,000 people arriving in Nigeria. The organization, however, says it's worried that numbers might go up if the problems in Anglophone Cameroon should continue. A total of 36 cases of dengue fever have been reported in Senegal's northern Louga region. The director of the Emergency Operations Center at the Health Ministry, Abdoulaye Bosso, says none of the patients suffered complications or were hospitalized. Dengue fever has symptoms which can be very similar initially to flu. Most people who get ill will suffer from headaches and fever. Some get rashes, aches and pains, and their symptoms usually last for 2 or 3 days. Iran says the range of its ballistic missiles could already reach US forces stationed in the region. Head of the Revolutionary Guards, Major General Mohammed Ali Jafari, warns that new sanctions by the US will only increase the number of Iranian missiles and their precision. US President Donald Trump seeks to impose new sanctions against Iran's missile program. Trump this month refused to certify Iran's compliance with a deal struck with world powers to curb its nuclear program in return for lifting most international sanctions. The House of Representatives voted last week for new sanctions on Iran's ballistic missile program. The Revolutionary Guards commander explains that Iran's missiles range is 2,000 kilometers, which can be increased, and most of the US interests in the region are within this range. Iran has one of the Middle East's largest missile programs, and some of its precision-guided missiles have the range to strike Israel. Next is the business news. In business, Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS) says about 165 million Nigerians are not paying tax. Chairman of the Joint Tax Board, Babatunde Fowler, made this known at a peer review conference on the internally generated revenue by the Nigerian Governors Forum in Abuja. Fowler, who also heads FIRS, says that below 15 million Nigerians are captured in the tax net nationwide. Most of the defaulters, according to him, are high net worth individuals and people in the private sector. Finally, sports news. Rangers International Football Club of Enugu will soon be floated on the Nigerian Stock Exchange (NSE). The Enugu state government will likely divest its shares and stakes in Rangers soon. About 2 months ago, the state government had set up the Administrative Commission of Inquiry, which had been looking into the club's activities. A member of the commission, Nobat Okoli, says that putting the club's shares at the exchange is part of the major recommendations which was made by the commission. Okoli, who is also the chairman of Sports Writers Association of Nigeria, Enugu State, explains that the commission's report was submitted to the state governor, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, on Friday. He explains that 35% of the shares will be reserved for the state government, while 32% will be for the 4 states of Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, and Imo at 8% each. 25% will be for the general public, 6% for the Amalgamated Traders Association, 1% for Rangers Supporters Club, and 1% for Ohanese Ndigbo. Okoli also said the formation of Rangers Female Football Club and basketball team were equally recommended by the commission. Nigeria international and Chelsea wingback Victor Moses has continued his road to recovery after a few weeks out due to a hamstring injury. Moses sustained the injury while playing in Chelsea's 2-1 loss at Crystal Palace and has missed 4 matches for the Blues. He was also not included in the list of players which was released by Super Eagles gaffer Gernot Rohr on Monday. Moses posted a video of his recovery on the social media while training in a pool. That was the midday news, and just before we go, the major stories once again. Police rescue Chinese abducted in Ogere axis of Ogun State. APC leaders suspended proposal of 2019 automatic ticket for Buhari. Buhari to appoint more ministers, reconstitutes federal roads. Buhari to appoint more ministers, reconstitutes federal boards. Prisons comptroller worried over personnel borrowing above salaries. While in foreign, we also told you that UN worried over Cameroonians fleeing into Nigeria, and Iran warned its ballistic missiles within the range of US forces in Middle East. For more stories and to listen to us live, please log on to our website www.rockcityfmradio.com/live. Thank you very much for listening. I am Chenye Ivo. Do have a great day ahead. Good afternoon.